Hello.
Hey, hello. Welcome today. We're glad you joined us, and hopefully we'll have some good, fun content that you can communicate with us. Remember, if you're on Facebook right now, you can actually write us, and it'll be posted, and afterwards we'll also comment if we don't see your comments. But if you're on YouTube, you can't comment until after the show, so we'd still love it whether you comment now or later.
Yep, we'll hop on and answer any of those questions for you.
So it's Monday in April, and we're here again at 2 o'clock on our podcast, Kristen Rabell and
Rebecca Johnson.
And I find that the weather, you're wearing a tank top kind of dress, and
Yes.
I'm wearing my long sleeves because, wow, it was cold today.
It was cold this morning. I had a jacket on when I went to the gym, but I did go home and change afterwards.
It's getting warmer and warmer, but what a beautiful April it has been with there's been quite a bit of rain. April showers bring May flowers, although March is historically in Gainesville at least, a large, rain season. And it's been really, really wet. But other than that, at least we've had that cool continue into the April months. So I love that.
Yeah, I am tired of the bipolar weather. I think it was 52
well, that's going to be
this morning.
The rest of the year.
I know. Well, I'm ready for it to just be like, all right, we're starting the day out at 78 and it will end at 98, and y'all just adjust now.
I find it nice that it continues to stay cool because we always have hot summers, and you never know what this summer is going to be like. You've mentioned it a couple times. Hotter winters.
Three times,
right.
Or else the hurricane monster appears.
It could be a hurricane or two this year or more, but we hope not. So I enjoy
Certainly
April continuing to be nice, cool weather. So we'll see how it goes. I don't know. Do you want to go ahead into your fun Monday market moment?
Let's start every Monday like we always do with the Monday market moment. All right, let's take a look at what's happening in North Central Florida. We will start with the Hillsborough, Tampa Bay area. So far for the month of April, which it is April 11th, had to check the calendar there, we have 279 active listings for down there since April 1st, so 11 days, 397 pending, and 232 closed. On the low side, if you ask me.
Yep, for sure.
But, they're staying steady with as many listings as they can, so they're still going under contract. In Ocala and Marion County, you've got 137 active, 226 closed, and 33 closed. Sorry, I got distracted. Great day to play hooky. I agree, Susan, except for it's a Monday.
Right.
And Mondays are just
so hard
hectic.
to play hooky on a Monday.
I'm more of a play hooky on like a Thursday, Friday, when you can work from afar. But Monday requires a lot of run around and being in the office. Let's see. Gainesville, only 57 active on the market that are since April 1st, 148 pending.
That's
and
a lot of
64
pending
closed.
in 1 month. Yep.
Everything is hitting the market and pending very quickly.
I mean, typically April, it's always like a very, very busy month, but I don't feel like it's as busy as typical, but the numbers show, at least in Gainesville, that we've pinned it a lot.
Yeah, April's always been one of our busiest months.
Exactly.
I think we work almost every day in
Something
April.
I find a little interesting is that, Tampa, Ocala, but Tampa more has less closed than active. So that's actually kind of good. We're still more closed than active in Gainesville, and the active and closed are very close in Ocala, Marion. But that Tampa number, way less closed than active. So I think that's, that's interesting numbers because it's usually more closed than active. It has been.
Yep. And then up in St. Augustine, you have 33 active. Only on the beaches area. We're not doing the downtown area, but beaches area, 33 active, 12 pended, and 8 closed.
Right. And of course, those active are for the year because that MLS does not let us pinpoint the month, and every other area is the active just for April. So that's why those numbers are interesting. Any notables that you're noticing here?
Just
Other
that
than
it's
still
low inventory,
Right.
but they're working with what they've got, and hopefully more homes hit the market soon.
Right. Well, we'll see. Well, I mean, it's nice to see that Gainesville has more closed. I mean, it's normal to see that Gainesville has more closed and active, but with Tampa and Ocala, it's good to see there's a lot more active there to work with. So probably why the pended are always higher. But yeah, there's your numbers. Market outlook for our areas for this week and month.
All right.
So it's April, right? And there's quite a few things that happen in Florida during the springtime. And here's one.
Yay!
Has anybody ever seen this, right?
This was kind of funny down in the Fort Myers area. This is a brand new home that was being constructed, and the painters were in there and trim guys doing their final touch-ups and punch-out before the new owner moved in, and they found a 12-foot alligator hanging out.
That's a big gator right there.
Yeah, he's a big guy. And so let's see.
I almost wonder, is he going inside to keep warm? Because it's chilly outside, you know? They like to be warm.
He was an agitated reptile, according to the story. Was seen rolling over several times during the struggle to be removed.
They missed it. They should have said a rowdy reptile.
There we go. They don't know that he's a rowdy gator, a rowdy reptile.
A rowdy reptile, right.
But yeah, so that's kind of a funny, totally Florida story.
So this is new construction.
New construction. Yep, painters. I can only imagine the shock that they saw. I think it's interesting that they did not try to jump in and remove him on their own. Probably a wise decision since he was agitated.
12 foot tall.
I'm sure he just was,
didn't know how to get out.
He
was like, I'm going to go into this,
because he's like, I don't know how to get out of here.
Nice, cool tile for right now. And then now I need to get to the water and I can't find it. He probably, remember when we worked on site and we would always see mice, he was probably going in there for some food.
Maybe.
And he chomped them all up and wanted to head out and couldn't get out.
Not something you expect to see on your walkthrough. But yeah, they said he did make his way through every single room in the house. So maybe he was just inspecting it before the new buyers got there. But either way,
right, that's true. They probably built the house where his favorite sunning-long used to be.
Yeah,
there you go.
It's not uncommon if you live on golf courses, or this is a great time to remind everybody, if you're new to our state, our beautiful state, alligators can be in any body of water, anywhere, and sometimes they just like to chill on your front porch and get some sun. So just kind of, be on the lookout.
I grew up in University Acres, which is behind North Florida Regional. And my parents always wanted to live in there. So we were looking all the time in that location, which they ended up buying in there. They still own a house there. And there was one section, every house we looked at had a gator in the pool or at the pool deck. So yeah, gators are pretty prominent. They're our neighbors. They're our friends. Just, don't get too close and call someone who knows a little better on how to remove them, especially when they're 12 foot.
When I was growing up, my grandparents lived near like a kind of a place that was kind of like a lake, I guess you would refer to it as. And it was not uncommon to see alligator cross the road and go into people's yards. And I just remember my grandfather teaching me how to, in his mind, run away from one. Should it be near me, you got to zig and zag.
Yep. I was going to ask, did you have to do the zigzag? Now, granted, they will catch up to you in the middle because they are fast runners.
I think if you get past them, quickly, at least, you should be fine. But yeah, that's, I just remember.
And then I've heard that's an old wives' tale, apparently, but I don't know. I'll still teach Mason to zigzag if
all
needed.
I know is I have to be fast enough to push you back and keep running.
Just be faster than all the other runners and you're good.
Be like,
disperse quickly.
Over my leg.
I don't know. We grew up going down, the rivers, local rivers here, and seeing gators off on the banks and not being too nervous. I think I was more nervous of snakes than gators, but they were always really docile. And of course, you don't go in, you don't take your little puppy or your kid, down to the water's edge. Yeah, at dawn or dusk, you just be careful and be aware of what's around you. But yeah, I mean, they're gators. They're everywhere.
I think it's funny that people get so like, oh, I want to see a gator when I come to Florida. I'm like, those things are everywhere. But if you put a deer, a manatee, I don't know, an otter, a fox, anything that I don't see like just constantly in
Man, I see deer all the time in Gainesville. I see deer all the time,
and I get so excited. I'm like, oh, it's a deer. I think I send you pictures.
I know. We drive through Hale and see deer all the time, so I don't know that one, but I get it with the others.
To see them.
I don't know. Our family was from Spain, and so when they would come over, obviously, they didn't see gators all the time, and every time they would visit, we'd take them to Lake Alice, get out, go watch, look for the gators and find them, and they were really excited to see. So I'm sure it's like going to Australia and seeing a kangaroo or a koala bear.
They're like, these are old news. Who cares? It's just a kangaroo having its coffee in the corner bistro.
Right. Well, there you go. Florida gator. Shocker. That's what you're going to get when you live here. Stay away from their nests.
No
yes.
kidding.
Learn the gator ways so you can keep yourself safe. But the Florida wildlife will come out and get them after they're about 5 feet, I believe.
I think Susan about was making a joke.
She was.
Anyways, all right. What's next?
Well, more Florida fun bugs.
Yay.
Have you all seen these furry little caterpillars everywhere? They're like literally dropping from the trees.
They're dropping from our doorways at the office.
Everywhere, yes. So they're called the Douglas fir tussock moth caterpillars. They will soon become moths, but they are really prevalent right now, and you'll see them everywhere. One thing is that we say that, growing up here and always having them around this time of year is just don't pick them up. Don't touch them. The
fuzzy ones.
The fuzzy ones. Fuzzy wuzzies. Yep.
Yep.
They excrete something that can kind of burn your skin. It doesn't feel too great. I'm not sure if it's a bite. I think it's just something on their bodies.
It just agitates the skin. I didn't realize that people didn't know this or didn't have this information. I guess, I don't know if this is like a Florida thing or...
well, there's 1,000 people moving here. What was it, a day, a week?
Y'all need to read up on your crazy Florida animals, because this was in the Gainesville Sun, and I'm like, why are they putting this in the paper? How is this not known? But I guess everybody's got different.
Right. They almost killed one of your ferns. Yes, they also eat your plants. So, I wouldn't say like go around killing them, but...
Unpopular opinion. I told the baby he can squish the furry ones, but leave the other ones alone. So,
just don't pick them up.
Because he thinks they're poisonous.
Take them off knock them off all your plants.
They're everywhere there. They're falling from our doorway at the office. It's gross. I can't wait for that to be done.
We were out this weekend over at Sindles, and they were everywhere. Oh, yeah. So, yeah. All right. Well, just keeping you up to date with all of the fun Florida animals that we have. It is Florida. April. It is the month where you're going to see a lot more than usual because it starts to get warm, even if it starts cold in the morning. So, there you go. Your fun Douglas fir tussock moth caterpillars. Say that 10 times.
Douglas fir tussock moth caterpillars.
Yeah, you're saying it
better. Got it once.
All right. So, again, we've talked about this a little bit. This year or this month is your landscaping month. Celebrating healthy landscaping, getting it ready for our tougher summer months when we don't have a lot of water coming. Although I would say that as a Floridian, there's usually about at 4:00 a little bit of rain that falls. Not in every area, but most of the areas.
Those are my favorite memes when it's like Florida 2:55 and it's like beautiful and sunny, and it's like Florida 3:00 and it's like storming and ugly, and it's like Florida 3:05 and the sun's back out and it's gorgeous.
Yeah, it's like a 5-minute, water drop. So yes, but this is a time IFIS is trying to get everybody together to understand water savings, and they're moving towards sprinkler-free landscapes because they use about 50 so that they can use 50 to 60% less water per home. If you know how to use a sprinkler, you can turn it on for short periods of time, usually at the night, early mornings before it gets really...
Don't you just turn it on and run through it? I thought that's what you were supposed to do with sprinklers.
For sure. That's a fun time in the summertime. But if you're going to keep them on consistently, you do want to have them on when it's not blazing hot, and that, usually in the morning or maybe late at night. But, Florida's moving towards the new builds not having these sprinklers. What do you think about that?
I think it's smart if you live in the GRU area.
Saving some money, right?
No, I think it's good for the environment. Obviously, if we don't have to, as a consumer, I'm like, it certainly is going to help keep people's yards looking better if they don't have plants to water. But I don't want it to look like the Arizona landscape where it's like just rocks and cacti.
It's so dry there. It has to be rocks and cacti.
That looks beautiful for them. But I do think Florida's got a different vibe, and we're, lush and beautiful.
Well, right. So it does say that down here, the residents of sprinkler-free homes spend 2/3 less each year on landscape maintenance costs. But I think that's really if you have Florida, friendly landscaping, like they're, basically from here, they're used to our really hot summers. We don't really have too much frost, but too many freezing nights, and they can handle that and come back. So as long as you don't try to get England flowers, English flowers in your yard.
English garden. I will say we have a lot of beautiful indigenous plants that aren't azaleas. Could you all please, if you need a list, just email me or
you don't
text
like it, the southern azaleas?
I think they're ugly. I'm sorry. And I also hate magnolia trees, and I'm sorry. I know you
I do agree with that.
Okay. I'm like, they are the ugliest. Like, they're like on the they're the ugly landscape. I'm sorry. Magnolia trees, azaleas, you're out.
I still like you azaleas. You can stay, but magnolias. I think it's funny when developers put a little magnolia tree at the front because those suckers can get enormous. But they are indigenous. They do survive and thrive. So I think that's why they do it.
I've seen some pretty ones, but most of them just look. And they drop waxy leaves and just
big white flowers.
The flowers are pretty when
really
they're
pretty.
there, but they're not there very long. So I have a grudge against azaleas because once I was raking and a snake lived underneath there and it raced out and got me. But I also think they're like sparse looking during certain months. So anyways, prettier landscape, call us. We'll give you some other ideas.
Well, another thing is making sure your sprinkler system is not on during a rainstorm or the rain. Sure, when the rain comes and it's like 2 minutes, but that's usually in the middle of the day, so don't have it running in the middle of the day. And then also have one of those little rain detectors, so when it is raining, and make sure that those are up to date. When it is raining, it'll automatically turn off or not turn on when it's supposed to. So that will help you save money. That will help you save the water that's happening. With so many people moving to Florida, there is a fear that there's going to be a water shortage in the future, not now, but the future. So I think it's starting now with UF IFAS really testing and suggesting not putting in sprinklers when they're building, and it does save the developers money, which saves you money. So there's that slide. Let's take a break, and we'll come back and we'll talk all about the current market.
If you're looking to step back in time to old Florida living with park benches and oak tree moss swaying above your head, look no further than the town of Micanopy. 20 minutes south of Gainesville, the town of Micanopy boasts quaint antique stores and a rich history. The town was named for a Seminole Indian chief, Micanopy. Today, you can visit over 39 sites listed on the National Registry of Historic Places in Micanopy, one of which houses Native American artifacts from the time of Chief Micanopy. Fast forward a few years and visit the Greek Revival colonial home built in 1845, the Herlong Mansion Bed and Breakfast. It welcomes guests with southern comforts like a second-floor porch swing bed and 3-course breakfast served every morning. An easy day trip or an overnight weekend visit will leave you relishing the old Florida lifestyle. Visit buysellrebell.com to find your Micanopy home. Welcome back.
Welcome back. All right, let's talk market.
What do you want to talk about?
Well, we've got this slide here, so
Yes.
we can talk about this, and it goes all the way back to the 1970s, and you'll see the last about 14 years are the green, and it's just a really good graphic to explain why there's a shortage of homes. And it shows from the 1970s to about 2006 the amount of builds that were being built. Now, we don't have the numbers on the side, but as you can see, the last about, again, 14 or so years, it says actually 13 straight years below the 50-year average. So 1970s to 2020-ish, you can see that the last 13 years, they're not building as much. To keep up with the population also. So if you're not building as much as you were, the 30 years, 40 years prior, then obviously, when there's a huge boom in the population, which we know are the millennials, they're a large population of people. They've come into owning, homes, buying homes, and it's one of the biggest populations obviously ever. So here we are. We have not been building at the capacity to keep up with the population of the current market.
I just had a thought also that was not addressed in this. So this came off of a TikTok that they were doing an analysis off of that. And if you guys are interested, we can post the original TikTok so you can follow the guy and see his content because it is interesting. But basically, he was talking about the reason we're having such a shortage, as Kristen said, was because we're building fewer homes than we were even in the 1970s when, the population was, starting to trend upward. Mm-hmm. And now we're here and now we don't have enough homes. And so that's creating a shortage. Another thought that I just had was, we didn't really have Airbnbs back then. So people are buying not just one home for themselves, but we're seeing a lot of people buy multiple homes in theory for themselves so that they have a place to go, during certain times of year when they want to live there, but they're renting it out the rest of the time, but not to people who are living long term, but to people who are vacationing. So that's another thing that I kind of was thinking about, that I'm like, that might be eating up a lot of the inventory as well, or has in the past, probably I would say it's become really popular the last 5 to 6 years. They've been buying up inventory, fixing it up, and then creating rentals, because traditionally in the 70s and 80s and maybe the 90s, people rented hotel rooms. Or condos.
That is true. I would say that's a good thought that you just popped in your head.
It literally popped as we
we're
were sitting
also, reading a lot about how people are, it's not just individuals like you or me, but large companies are going in and buying large amounts. We've talked about this before, whether entire neighborhoods and they're renting them out, or they're buying lots and lots of homes to rent out. So, and I do know there was an article that came on today. We're not showcasing it, but I saw it in Inman, and it was really about some of the biggest cities that had more investors than ever before, like 31% more than the years prior were buying in certain cities. Tampa was one of them. Tampa, I believe, was the only city in Florida, and it was 18% higher than 3 or 4 years ago. And places like Vegas, New York City, Atlanta, they were in the 31%. Now, granted, those are not Gainesville, but Tampa's in there. But it's this is a national comment right here. This is a national graph. Yeah. So I think what you're saying is also the Airbnbs are a part of that. Mm-hmm.
To not having built enough homes over the last 14 years. And the reason that people did that was the economy. It stopped one day. Everybody woke up and they just turned the water off, and it just was gone. No drip, nothing. And it took a while for builders to rebound and want to build again and have confidence. And it's continuing, but then you ran into COVID, labor shortages, supply shortages, and I'm just going to go on the record. I think we should normalize people going to trade schools and getting a trade rather than forcing everybody to go get a 4-year degree in something that they're may or may not be successful in, because the country is in desperate need of plumbers, electricians, plasters, framers, all the things that go into making a home. So now you've got a compound issue of already a shortage. It's expensive to build. There are labor and supply shortages. You have a different
mindset of people,
buyers, right? You have people who are buying a home and people who are buying that investment, not just to rent long term to somebody, but Airbnb style, short-term rentals. So you have all these different variables that are driving it up, making
and you
it
also
more
have these older neighborhoods, and this is going to be, not everybody agrees, and it is what it is, that only allow one home, one dwelling per lot. And now we have, again, this overabundance of population, and these lots that were considered residential, are not being, it's harder to rezone them, whether they're in a neighborhood or next to a neighborhood. We have a realtor quota covered.
Sorry,
for multifamily, because a lot of people are looking at, multifamily is like a buzzword right now, but it's because it's needed. It's very much needed so that you can have more people on one area of land.
That also goes to lifestyle has changed for people. People no longer want that McMansion that was popular in the 90s and early 2000s, big house, tiny lot.
Right, you're seeing like on Zillow and all these conversations about these stars houses, and I think you and I were talking about that the other day. We're like, wow, that didn't go for as high as we thought it would. And it was like some famous person's mansion. It was really, really low priced because they're not wanting to spend that much on those homes anymore because they're so large.
I mean, a home is a lot of upkeep. I don't think people want to live in tiny homes, but I don't think they want to live in like huge homes, but townhouses and things that are more multifamily. I think people are
and
happy.
If you think about it, going into that, this just comes into thought, is that a lot of people, both parties are working, both husband and wife, both couples are working. And so there isn't one, for the most part, staying home, taking care of everything like there was in the 50s through probably 80s, you could say, maybe 90s also. But the makeup of the couple has changed. And, there are still people that live that way and people having lots of children, but it's also changed a little way in the mindset of, how many children they're having when they're having it, because children are sort of your little, helpers, you could say, with everything. Yes. Right. So
a mature list.
So these smaller homes that don't require as much maintenance, because of their size and because of their lot size are a little more desired now. So
let's be honest,
that
we also have made a thing that you should have fun on the weekends and be outside and do fun things. And nobody wants to be, slaving over a yard every day. And,
right.
But
as you notice, this 13, 14 year has been since our last major recession, back when the market really did, take a big hit, and the builders, a lot of builders lost their businesses. They completely went under, and they've taken quite a bit of time to come back up. And then, like you said, with COVID has just been about 2 years, 2.5 years. So it's been, that huge change has been more recent. But the fact is that builders have been trying to come back to where they were before, and they just haven't been able to, because you can see right around 11, 12, when it was the lowest, it started getting higher and higher and higher. It just has not reached the peak as it was even in 2005 and 4. So
there is good
great
news,
numbers.
though. Rates are still at a historic low. I did read an article. I don't even know if I've sent it to you yet, but they're actually making a 40-year mortgage product. Yep. And I think we'll see. I kind of remember in 2006, they were starting to do what they do over in Europe, which they call a life estate loan. Mm-hmm. And basically they would be 50 to 60-year loans so that people could afford, because homes have become so much more expensive. Obviously, with a longer term, you're paying more interest, but you can always pay that down or pay towards it. But it will help get people into homes that are more expensive now than they have been in the past, due to the various reasons the market is so competitive. So there are going to be options.
Yes. And we're also seeing it become more trendy and available to buyers who maybe it's a group of friends buying one of these larger houses, or a house that they can all share together. You're having more of these shared finances as well, and not just renting with buying. So one of our agents, Susan, actually on here, just recently sold to 3 different friends buying one house. And I know there was a boom that started a while ago in California, mainly because of the lack of land and the lack of affordability. And now that's sort of hit nationwide. So that's going to become, and is becoming, more popular. So yeah, they're going to have to change things. Again, that big word from the past 2 years, pivot, so that more buyers can come into the market, because they're all out there. Now, regardless of this, right, we can have our next slide up if you want.
Yeah.
So we're hearing all of this talk about how many, and we're experiencing it, how many cash buyers are out there, how many buyers are losing to cash buyers. But I found this really great. You want to read it?
The number of mortgages to buy new homes soared 31% in March.
Yep, nationally, but still, that's a huge amount for all of this, talk we're hearing about, people not being able to buy and really nervous about the rates rising. Now, granted, this was because the rates are rising, right? That's what the article said. But it's also good to hear and good to see that, they're still out there getting mortgages. You're still being able to buy with a mortgage. Not all of them are beat out by cash buyers. So I think that's a positive thought to look at, is that they're still out there. Like Rebecca said, they're still historically low. I mean, sure, we had them at 2.5 for a bit. Free money. It's not going to last forever. And that was to boost the economy after the huge hit. So here we are, we're having to redirect it, raise the rates a little. It does feel like it's pushing buyers out because it's a higher priced market, but they're still available for us. And these mortgage companies are coming up with new products to help buyers. So all of that's good news.
Very good.
Yay!
Yay, yeah.
If y'all have any questions about the market or comments about the market, please drop them. We'd love to hear what you have to say, what you're experiencing, what you see, what you're reading. We'd love to have these conversations with you. To talk more, we like to hear the positive stories about people buying and what they've done in order to buy, and also the positive stories with selling. Of course, most of the positives are selling, right? But we love to hear both sides. So please share with us. Please throw your comments in. Again, we'd love to hear from you. And we'll end it with.
All right.
Okay.
We wanted to thank.
I thought you were going to say something.
Oh,
yeah.
No. I was going to say thank you to everybody that came out to the Fit for Fun event at the Rabell office on Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what day was that?
Yes. And remember, we had Awaken Chiropractic and Halo Health and Sudas Fitfoot. So next time we have this, we'd love to see more people, more friends and family.
Yep. But
Past
thank you for those that
customers,
came
yes.
out. And if you have a property that you would like to keep and not sell, we would be happy to manage it for you. We will handle the leasing, the accounting, the repairs, inspections, your landlord license permits, which is a big deal if you live in the city of Gainesville and coming soon in Alachua County. So if you have any of that and you have questions, concerns, you can call us at 352-213-6410 or check us out online at knrpm.com.
All right. And although Susan's joking about the realtor quota is met, if you want to start a career in real estate or join a team, change over from where you are right now, just learn more about Rabell Realty Group and becoming a realtor or adding to your knowledge about real estate, please email us at join@buysellerabell.com or call 352-559-8820.
And if you can't get enough of Kristen and Rebecca, you can find us online at Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, LinkedIn, and Google+. Holy
Good
moly.
job. There's so many. Like and subscribe our YouTube page. Thank you. All right. And did you know we have a blog? We do. We talk about a lot of stuff that we've gone over. Write even more about it. There's also a lot of events that come up and information about the local markets that we service, like Tampa, Gainesville, St. Augustine Beaches area, and Ocala.
And if you would like to have your own podcast, you can contact the Fiesta Media. They put on our podcast every Monday at 2 p.m., and we are eternally grateful to them.
All right. And just so you know, next week we have Brian Knapp, and we're going to talk about marketing. So hopefully you'll join us next week at 2 o'clock on Monday, again on YouTube or Facebook Live, and you'll meet Brian Knapp from B Designs. Thank you. Print and Designs.
There you go.
He's great. He'll be fun, and you'll learn all about marketing as an owner of a company. So thank you. We'll see you then.
See you then.